Hey there everybody, here's another project update. I just wanted to show you what I got going last night, setting up an NPC class, the ever elusive NPC class. Seems to be working fairly well right now. Here's the actual class structure that I have so far. Essentially I'm setting an entity model, map name, source rectangle, and all that fun stuff. Calling get texture so I can dynamically load textures from my draw routine, which would be really helpful. Getting the NPC source frame. I'll show you what my actual little tunes look like here. So as you can see, I've got rows of movement positions. So this is kind of just stepping through that, 32 pixels at a time per animation frame. Okay, then I'm moving my NPC, much like I'm moving my actual character, kind of borrowed from that movement routine. Here we're updating the animation offset for the sprite. This is how you chat with the entity, which is surprisingly simple. Basically, since I added a dialog as a string, I can store that to the class instance. I'll show you how I did that. And then I'm just enumerating the different models, so it's easy to select the tile. So here's where I'm loading my castle data for now. This will hopefully be much better in the future. I'm just kind of loading these subs to preset the map. But here's where I'm defining actual entities or NPCs. So just kind of set that up, tell it what map it's on. I'm not sure if I really need that. I may delete it in the future. The entity model, dialog. This string is formatted, as you can see. I've got little carets and bars at the ends. It tells my text processor how to handle that information. So this is this clears the screen and goes, starts reprinting. This just drops to a new line, and this tells the text processor to complete. So that's just how I've had my text processor set up. Not sure if I'm going to adjust that in the future. I kind of like how it works right now, even though it's kind of primitive. Then I just add it to an entity list on my main screen. Actually, that's on my map base. So this is where I'm loading it. And that entity list, so each map holds its own list of entities. And then I flush that list prior to loading the new map. Again, all this will probably change because it's not efficient to load each map as a sub, and it's also inflexible. It doesn't allow you to import maps from a map editor or anything, so I'll have to get around to that later. So I will show it to you in action here. Before I was testing out trigger data. I think I showed that in a previous project, and I may touch triggers or something I'll probably end up getting rid of because I don't need them anymore. I can just check and see if there's an entity on a tile instead. So like right here, I'm actually, I'm running the touch trigger still for my signpost, but that signpost could become an NPC or an entity in the future. Then I cycle through my entity list from my map base and check the character's coordinates in each direction depending on where I'm looking. So I'll go ahead and show you it in action here. I apologize if this is too loud. No, it looks like I kind of tuned it down a little. So I could enter through the front door. Now here's the touch trigger working. loads up the sign. Go ahead and go into my cave. There's my first NPC. I have run a timer to wander around on update. So if I push my T button, it checks the tile in front of me to see if there's an object there, and if there is, then it will invoke the dialog. Right now I have them, they're all loading too fast, so they're all on the exact same random timer, which is kind of a pain, but I'll figure out a way around that probably before long. And I don't have the characters tile blocked yet, so they can walk through me. I can't walk through them, but they can walk through me. Cool though, it's working. It drove me nuts trying to figure out where to start on this, but I should also probably make it so the character looks at you when you talk to him. Little details, lots of stuff to figure out. This was a test here. Wanted to check out sprite blocking, or basically collisions between my NPCs and the walls, and sure enough she cannot walk out through the walls anymore, which is nice. So all that is just built into this NPC class here, which is really, it's not huge, which is nice. There's a lot more that I can add to it, logic to specify where keep the character from wandering too far from their start position, stuff like that. There's a million things you could do to improve the AI for your NPCs. So all sorts of little goodies. The update is running. Right now I'm running 2 updates. This will probably change. This is where I first invoke their movement after 2 seconds. If they're not moving, then I tell them to just move in a random direction here. I'm doing a random 1 to 4. I know it says 5, but 5 is never counted in the randomizer. So then it sets it to moving, and if it's moving, then it only invokes this on update. So basically it takes the tile they're standing on, unblocks it, updates their movement direction, and then blocks the next tile that they move to. That makes it so I can't walk through them. Now right now I can walk through them immediately because this is only happening on update. If I make it to them before it updates, I don't have them set to block immediately, so I can walk through them. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. Lots more to go, but this has been, one of the most difficult things I've had to work on or figure out, so I'm really glad that this is coming along so nicely. Probably be a lot more things to add to the NPC class. Also, I want to do vendor screens and things like that. I'm going to have to tell if it's what kind of... Well, actually, I can just use my models to determine, if it's a merchant, then I can tell it to bring up a menu or something. So anyway, that's where I'm at. Everybody has been asking me for an NPC class, and if you want, you can use this code and play around with it in your own environment. You may be able to implement it. I'm using Kalamis one's basically his rendition of the Mango screen management for XNA, and it's really wonderful. It's been a little tricky trying to figure out how to time things, because the code will continue to run in the background even if you have a screen up or changing So there's some little issues with that. You got to work on your timing, but all this will be released in the future. I will be doing tutorials eventually. Once I get this cleaned up, my code is still a huge mess, as you can see, but really like the way it's coming along. I will talk to y'all later. Take care.